to this exciting event today. Crisis is opportunity. And I'm not going to take too much of your time. I'm going to quickly introduce you the speaker for today, President of UEF, Trustee of Sidakati Trust, founder of Coal and Oil, and he needs probably the least introduction in this group. Please welcome Mr. Ahmed Buhari. Ahmed Bhai, floor is yours.
Vanakkam, Assalamu alaikum, my dear friends. It's a real delight to see all of you here. Like somebody else was mentioning, this crisis is also an opportunity for all of us to meet up like this. I don't think we've done this before, so it is indeed an opportunity for all of us to meet up like this. So UEF is delighted to be organizing this session. As you can see, it says crisis is opportunity. At the UEF, we are trying to engage very closely with the community, with the society, to contribute for the growth of India, for Tamil Nadu, connect up with our friends from the rest of the world. We have people from all over the world connecting up today. We have people from the media, we have people from Tuticorin, we have people from Washington. So we've got a diverse people from Singapore. So we've got a lot of different types of people, supporters of UEF who are attending. So on behalf of the United Economic Forum, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this session titled Crisis is Opportunity. Just to give you a little backdrop, again, introduction of UEF. Currently, we are a Chennai-based organization. We have about 450 members. We want to take this membership up to 1,500. We want to have more, approximately 500 overseas members. We've got now people, like I said earlier, we have people now from Singapore, we have people from Washington, we have people from San Francisco, New York, Japan. A whole lot of people are in Dubai, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and different places. So we are hoping to get overseas members as well. Our target is to support the growth of our home state, which is Tamil Nadu, and also our host state. If we are in Singapore, we also want to see how we can support the growth of Singapore. And the simple number we have set ourselves is 1.5x. Basically, whatever is the current growth rate, can we all work together to see if we can take this growth rate to 1.5x? This number has been worked out as $67.5 billion by 2050 for Tamil Nadu state. Most of us having a link to Tamil Nadu. So that is our target. We are trying to engage with all our education institutions. Most of our institutions, I'm sure all of you will agree, education is the backbone of any society. Education is the backbone of any community. So we have approximately 45 educational institutions which are there, which are affiliated to the UEF. We have about 130,000 students. And I really think this is going to be the future with the educational institutions and the type of service that they do. So the title is obviously Crisis is Opportunity. And all of you must have been reading about how people want to leave China and, they want to exit from different parts of the country and how India is very well placed for this. It all may be very true because geopolitically it seems to be the situation is now changing. The United States is becoming a lot more, lot more aggressive in their stance. They seem to be wanting to really exit their operations from China. So maybe this is, as they say again, crisis is an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity for India. And more so, I think it is an opportunity for Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu state is the second largest economy in India. We are currently approximately a $300 billion economy. And this economy may become $2.7 trillion by 2050. So we have a phenomenal opportunity in front of us. And so this is the opportunity which is sitting right in front of us. And this is directly as a result of the crisis. If the crisis, the COVID wasn't there, will the world be looking at India more actively? Would there have been so much of a problem within the United States? If you look at any of President Trump's speech today, every speech has a China angle to it. And, China angle, there is a COVID angle, there is a Wuhan angle. He keeps talking of how much China is involved in this. And I don't know whether it is actually to do with the crisis, or is it geopolitically the situation is changing, and now we are seeing more influence of China, which we all have to recognize. And of course, India is is not to be left behind. Definitely, India also. Many reports are now saying by 2050, India will be among the top 3 largest economies. Some reports are saying that India may become the 2nd largest economy in the world. Some reports are saying that India may become the 3rd largest economy in the world. So whatever said and done, in the next 30 years, with this crisis, I think things have just become a little bit more faster. That India has great prospects of becoming one of the top 3 economies in only 30 years. And that's not too long. I'm sure many of you will remember 30 years ago, and the next 30 years can happen very quickly. So this crisis is a phenomenal opportunity for us to take advantage of things which are changing geopolitically, particularly in Tamil Nadu. So let's take advantage of this crisis which is going on. So without much ado, let me I take great pleasure in introducing my very dear friend, philosophers and guides. I think I can't call them anything else. First of all, let me start with Mr. Brother Azmat Taufiq. Azmat Bhai, thank you very much for joining us from Washington. We know it's quite late for you there, and you were kind enough to stay up for this session. Really, I think Azmat Bhai needs no introduction. You have seen his CV, his profile. He's a veteran. He's been in the World Bank. He's been in the IFC. He's been the chief investment officer of Investcorp Bahrain, which is one of the largest private equity investing firms in the world. He's been in different parts of the world. He's been in Asia. He's been operating in the Middle East. Of course, he's been in Washington. He's a dear friend of the UEF, and he's a much sought after person anywhere in the world. I mean, anywhere I go, we were at a conference in Singapore. I just walk up to somebody and I start talking to him. Just randomly, I mention Azmat Bhai's name, and then he knows it. And so many people seem to know about him, and they've got such good things to say about him. So I think we're very, very fortunate to have Azmat Bhai with us today. He's a great supporter of UEF, great supporter of Tamil Nadu State, and any development initiative in any part of the world. Whichever part of the world, if there's a development agenda, I think Azmat Bhai is very much for it. So we're very, very fortunate to have him on board. Thank you very much for joining us today, Azmat Bhai. And that's why we thought, having this panel here today to enlighten all of us about their experience. How did they come out of crisis? What is that we can learn from crisis? What is the opportunity in crisis? So that is really the session. So I don't want to take too much more time. I think my time is up, and I'll just hand over back to Fahim. So thank you very much. Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Wanakam.
Thank you so much, Ahmed Bhai. So you have the introductions of Mr. Ahmed Taufiq. Ahmed Bhai, the floor is all yours. Please go ahead.
So firstly, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. I'm sorry, Ahmed, about not being able to do it in Tamil. I'm working on my Tamil, but you're not helping. So let me say that, yes, as Ahmed mentioned, and all of us have gone through different types of crises in our life. And I've been actually, I would say, very fortunate to have gone through many crises. And the reason I have had that opportunity is because of the work that I did for many years at the World Bank Group. And I didn't want to let go of this opportunity to have all of us over here to mention that, because that is an opportunity for us. We don't often think about it, but if UEF, if any of you individually, if us as a group, any of us can, and I know we have some very creative people here, Jahangir is one of them, and many other entrepreneurs around. If you have thoughts on this, I would love to participate. And I didn't want to miss this opportunity to say this. Some others over here about things like digitization, but things like digitization, electrification, the greening of economies, these are all subjects that we as a group at UEF and all our members need to really understand, because these are, if we don't stay ahead of this, we are going to fall seriously behind. And it's happening. The train was moving at maybe 20 miles, 15 miles an hour. We were chugging along and we didn't notice it. Many of us did not notice it. And we thought that we can continue. And Ahmed said, he gets in front of something technology and he freaks out, and I do too. But if we are not ahead of this, of these transformations, that train that was moving at 20 miles an hour is now moving at 60 miles an hour. And it's going to be speeding at 80 miles an hour in a year or 2 years' time. The world is going to be totally different. So, and Ahmed, you said earlier that UEF now has reaches San Francisco, it is in Singapore, and it's in Japan, it's in DC. You have to harness all the resources for our members, or we have to find a way to harness the resources for the members of UEF, so that they can think ahead how the forces of digitalization, electrification, and the greening of economies, how are we going to take advantage of whichever business we are in, whether we may be in retail, we may be in, even in the IT business. I know that Fahim and others know much more about this than I, but even that industry is rapidly changing in the way it operates. Okay, so I think lifestyle, work style, all of that has changed. So those of us who are involved in housing or in real estate need to really rethink how it's going to impact the way we live, the way we work, where we are operating from, and how do we structure ourselves around that new paradigm. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to listening to the next speakers, but if there are any questions, happy to take now or later. I'm here through the conference, so however it works for you, Fahim.
So yes, thank you so much, Azul, for that wonderful speech. So just before I introduce the next speaker, I would like the president to share a couple of minutes. He has a few thoughts that he wants to share. Please go ahead, Ahmed.
Okay, thanks very much. Thank you, Azmat Bhai. That was a fantastic, very enlightening speech. Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for you. Thank you very much also for agreeing to stay back later. I'm delighted to also introduce Brother Jahangir. I am getting to find out more about him every day. The number of things he has done. Really, I think we are having in our midst the father of IoT, one of the fathers of IoT, to be a little modest. So he was formerly the GM of Cisco's IoT business. He's the founder of Jasper Communications. He's had multiple companies that he's been a founder of. Most recently, he sold his company Jasper Communications to Cisco for $1.4 billion. I think he would have easily sold the company for either double or triple that amount. And you could have given some of that money to the UEF and all of us, Jahangir. But anyway, that's another discussion altogether. So he's a tech entrepreneur. He's an IoT specialist. He has been in some of the biggest companies. His products have been supporting almost 10,000 companies around the world. He's been providing solutions to Tesla, directly to Elon Musk. He's one-on-one with Elon Musk. He's been giving solutions to Tesla, Twins Health, revolutionary treatment for diabetes. How he compared, when I was talking to him, he was mentioning about how he wants to bring together IoT and human healthcare for treating diabetes. And they have launched his company. He has launched his company, Twins Health. I think over 400 patients have been successfully treated of diabetes. And so he's looking at a lot more healthcare solutions. And obviously, the whole crisis we're facing is about a healthcare issue. So Jahangir Bhai is also working on that. That is his latest venture, Twins Health. And of course, he's from Amapattinam in Tamil Nadu state. but he's got links in San Francisco. He's got links in Los Gatos. Los Gatos is, by the way, maybe people will know Netflix more than Los Gatos. So he lives at the home of Netflix, which is Los Gatos in California. Dear supporter of UEF, also our advisory board member. And so thank you very much, Jahangir Bhai, for joining us. And maybe I should add your 80 patents, right? Sorry, I keep getting the numbers right. So, and we were discussing once and how he has given his entire 80 patents to Cisco, unfortunately. Maybe you should find a way to get it back, because of the crisis. We need to get those 80 patents back. So thank you very much, Jahangir Bhai, for joining us today. Now I'll pass it back. Fahim, please.
Thank you so much, Albert. So, hi everyone. So, Dr. Jahangir Bhai, the floor is all yours. Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Vanakkam. It's a real pleasure for me to be with you this evening or this morning. He's such an enthusiastic guy, and it's always a pleasure to have him around. And times like this, we need a spirit like that to shift everyone up. So glad that you're doing this for all of us. And the UEF team for pulling the session together. Pep talk. I want to say something that perhaps is of practical use for all of us, right? And I want to share with you a process that my team has followed, I followed, not only in my company, my family follows, a 3-step process. So I hope you'll find this useful for you, right? Step 1 is accept reality truthfully. This is the starting place. See, when we are confronted with something really bad, we have a tendency to say, hey, everything will be all right, don't worry about it. Problems don't go away like that, right? You're much better off to really look at what is the problem, how bad it could become, and actually write it down. That's what I did, right? One evening I sat down, I wrote down for 2 hours how bad this can become. What is actually happening? Because it's really liberating when you truly accept the reality. Accept reality as is. Let me explain this a little bit more. So when we heard this, that here in the US, we were ahead of India in terms of how COVID spread fast, right? I'm talking early March, we had 48 patients in India, right? We already had 60, 70,000 patients. And I read up there, spoke to some people. It was very clear this is going to hit us bad. So what I did with my team, I said, look, there may not be any income for next 3 to 6 months. Assume there is no income for 6 months for the company, right? There is a big lockdown. Patients are not going to spend, they are going to stay home. Doctors are not going to go to clinic, right? So we that's what we did. Okay, well, 6 months. Then we said it's really a moral obligation that we have to keep all our people and employees intact and pay them full salary, right? Now the reality hits you, right? Okay, no income, there's lots of expenses. What do we do? Now, the benefit of that exercise is if it happened, it didn't surprise us. It didn't surprise us. So because we knew this could happen, if it happens, we are not bothered because we knew it could happen. We accepted it, right? So step 1 is accept reality truthfully. Step 2 is, it is what it is. What is the most we could do to make the most out of this? We still have things that are in our control. What is the most we can do? Step 2. In twin case, in my company case, which by the way is in Chennai, I'm very proud of starting this in India, something we really wanted to do, right? My previous 2 companies I started in the US. I think I was inspired by Ahmed and UEF, and I said, so I already had this wanting to do, but being part of that crowd really made me go, I really, really need to do this. Right? That's why I started this company in Chennai. Another one, in our treatment, we had to deliver medicines. Sometimes we have to go read how the sensors are, what is the sensor value of the bodies, and so on. So some of our people actually go home and read from patient, and they were held up by police. And unfortunately, a couple of them got beaten up. So we were faced with this question. So do we stop? I mean, that would be easy, no? No, we can't stop. How could we stop? By the way, diabetic people are more vulnerable because of this COVID, right? China has published the mortality of people with diabetes 8 times more than normal people. So if anything, this is the time for us to step up. So we called the police commissioner, we got him to give a letter, we printed new badges, and these people carried the letter and the badges with them, so police would not bother, right? Talk about figuring out, what to do with the problem we've got, right? Step 2, always think, it is what it is. We have been given this set of cards. What is it we could do with what we've got, right? I know. I'm going to go to the step 3. And it's deeply personal for me. And that is stay safe and be kind. And this be kind is so important. This is the time for kindness, right? Anyhow, I mean, those are my 3 messages, right? Accept reality for what it is, make the most out of what we've got, and let us stay safe, and let us be kind, right? So I think that in the bigger picture, this indeed can be an opportunity for Tamil Nadu and India. I'm a firm believer that technology can be the force to leverage. Unfortunately, technology doesn't require a tremendous amount of capital. What it requires is a tremendous amount of brain power. And we have a country with lots of brains. And I think we have a state with lots of brains. So I'm very hopeful. And we are doing what we can in our small ways. And I'm so glad to be associated with this consortium and do the little bit we could do now and then. So with that, I look forward to spending more time, and thank you for this opportunity. Back to you, Fahim.
Thank you so much, Jahangir. It looks like you've given us a playbook to how to deal with this situation. Before I introduce the next speaker, I would like the President to share a couple of minutes. He has a few thoughts that he wants to share. Please go ahead, Ahmed Bhai.
Of course, we've also got on board with us Brother Hanif. Hanif Sattar, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but he used to bully me in school. Hanif and I were schoolmates in Shaudal School in Chennai. But then, of course, he went on to become a very successful retail entrepreneur, Tamil Nadu based. He's got stores all over India. Basics is the name of his brand. And we all know how difficult retail business is. And I think Hanif has gone through multiple crises himself.
So Hanif, if you're ready, your time is up. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Big shout out to Ahmed, to Jahangir. I haven't had the opportunity and the good fortune of this COVID crisis for me personally, and at the time and when it came, has taught me the art of realignment all over again. The last time this happened to me was back in 2008 when we faced an adversity, a life-changing adversity, in the fact that, you know, we almost lost everything that we had. And that was only on us. It was not on the rest of the world. But this is on the rest of the world as well. So in a sense, as much as I hate to say it, we're all in this together. So yeah, if I'm miserable, so is everybody else. So we have company, so we can at least take succor in that. The thing about adversity is how, and the thing about the crisis is how it has set the reset button for, especially for me. And I'm going to share a small story about what happened in 2008, and I'm going to add that as I'm going to relate that as something that's happening to all of us in this world today. So back in 2008, we had just moved into our facility in Madurai, which is around 65,000 square feet. This particular facility was a dream come true for my brother Suhail and me. So it brought everything under one roof in terms of, it brought our research, design, development department, it brought our warehousing, it brought our manufacturing under the same roof. And it was something that was a dream come true. It was 65,000 square feet. And we made that jump from 5,000 square feet. So you can imagine it was 11x jump. And the cost of that jump for me was close to half the turnover what we were doing at that time. So that's like, I mean, from a business sense, it's a huge leap of faith that we took. And as much as we loved being there, just 1 year later, 12 months later, we had a huge fire in that facility. And literally everything came to a standstill. The building and the facility literally crumbled. And we had to reset everything. But the outcome of that entire crisis and that adversity was it brought to the fore something that I would have never done given the choice. And that was that in that facility, we had manufacturing, warehousing, and our administration department. And the one department that, or the one piece that didn't fit in this whole thing was the manufacturing piece. So as much as my brother and me knew that this manufacturing piece had to be realigned, and as much as we tried to realign the manufacturing piece, it was like a thorn in our side. The marketing was good, the warehousing was essential, but the manufacturing was something that, as much as we knew was a thorn in our side, we couldn't pull it out. This fire, which happened at that time, essentially proved to be a catalyst for us to get rid of it. So would we have done that by choice? I doubt it. We would have never done that by choice. So that lesson taught us that there are bitter pills to swallow, and you have to swallow them as much as you don't like to. But as we are humans, and what's happened is that over the last 12 years, we got comfortable, and then we went on to turning a blind eye and brushing under the carpet, the things that we could. COVID again now has reset the entire button. So it's a disruption on a global scale. We've always spoken about disruption on a micro level, whether it's enterprise or whether it is markets or whether it is a country, but never on this scale. So the disruption literally is global. And the way I see it is that this is going to, or it already has reset the button on the way things are being done, or the way things will be done in the future compared to the way they're being done right now. And I believe that the opportunity is incredible. I've always watched Tom and Jerry ever since I was a child. So what he said was the only reason why Jerry never gets stuck with Tom, or Tom never catches up with Jerry, is because Tom is after Jerry for his food, but Jerry is running away from Tom for his life. So the fact is that when we face something which is life-threatening, I think most of us will make the cut. I don't think there's a problem there. But most of all, I think my faith in the Almighty is so huge that I'm sure that He will find ways and means for us to get over the crisis. And I'd like to end this by saying that I thank the Almighty so much for equipping us and empowering us and enabling us not only to take care of ourselves, but also to take care of the people who are associated with us in whatever measure we can. And I just pray the same for all of you. Thank you, Brother Ahmed, for the opportunity once again.
Thank you so much for that, Hanifbhai. Truly, truly inspiring to see that you've been through multiple crises and you have pretty much come out of it unscathed. I wish for you and for everybody here that we all thrive and survive through this crisis. I please welcome Mr. Ahmed Buhari. Yes, the stage is yours. Please go ahead.
Okay, so thanks very much, Fahim, and all the wonderful speakers. Of course, I know we can fully count on Jahangir Bhai, Azmat Bhai, Hanif. I mean, it's always such a big, inspiration to hear their perspective. So I'll just get on straight away to what I wanted to share. This topic of crisis as opportunity is something which has been very dear to me, because I'm like a made in crisis company. All the business that we have done has all been in a crisis. Our coal trading business, we started in 1997, which was right in the middle of the Asian crisis. Our power trading business, power plant business was launched in 2009, which was in the middle of the Lehman crisis, the global crisis. And now, 10 years later, we have got this crisis, COVID, which is going on. So for me, thriving in crisis has been the name of the game. And I'm sure all of you are going through it, and it is a very difficult phase, when we have to face the problem. But for me, this crisis, having learned from the earlier crisis, I still remember two very interesting sayings that I heard. One of them was many, many years ago, when I was doing cement clinker business. There's this gentleman, like a sort of a Buddhist monk type, was one of our customers, Yasasiri Kasurirachi, and cement company in Galle, in Sri Lanka. And he used to tell me, he said, Ahmed, you know what? We have a philosophy in Buddhism, I'm like, what is it, Kasurirachi? He says, for every problem, there are 20 solutions. And I'm like, what are you saying? I'm not even able to think of one. And that's usually what we think, right? When we are in a crisis, we think there is only one. We're looking for that one solution, right? And Kasurirachi says, look deep and you will find 20 solutions. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Here we are struggling to find even one solution. And this gentleman says there are 20 solutions. And the next time there was some crisis, I went back and I'm like, okay, fine. Now let me see what, does this make sense? You won't believe it. I crossed 20 in one particular occasion, So the possibilities are beyond 20 at least. So here is a crisis, let's say we are facing. Every crisis has possibly more than 20 solutions if we only look hard enough. Of course, some solutions may be more expensive, some may be less expensive, some may be, making lifestyle changes, some may be, letting go of people who've been bothering you too much, or bringing people who are, there are n number of combinations and permutations, right, as to what a solution can be. But it really is a fact that there are so many solutions to a particular problem. So that's something I really wanted to share with you. Hitting the bottom is our probably journey to rediscover. So sort of like, again, in this crisis, are we going to hit the bottom? Is this the bottom? And then how do we sort of rediscover ourselves? Whatever this gentleman Kasurirachi said, that there are almost 20 different solutions which actually come up. I think Nizam Bhai, of MAM, I can see him smile, and then all that Jahangir was saying earlier about the telemedicine, for him, this COVID has been the biggest opportunity for him. Come on, sir, Nizam Bhai, you could smile, it doesn't matter. For him, it's the biggest opportunity because he has launched his NISCARE app, which is a telemedicine app. And he's been, developing it for the last 2 or 3 years. And, for 2 or 3 years, he's been trying to develop it. But this COVID has been his opportunity. I'm sure he'll agree that, for him, it has been, and for many others, probably this is the opportunity, like what, Hanif was saying earlier, 12 years ago, that was his opportunity to get rid of things that, had to be gotten rid of a long time ago. So this crisis is the one which actually woke us up. So Kasarrachi says there are 20 solutions for every crisis, every problem. Lana Ashar says hit the bottom for us to rediscover ourselves. Azmat Bhai was earlier mentioning about how we again find out our strength and our weakness. So I really think this is the time for us to see what the opportunity is, and for each one of us it's going to mean something different. But it's a question of do we really want to make that change, grab that opportunity, because it's nobody else is going to just come and give it to us. It is out there. Is it there available for us to grab? And as they say, right, in Tamil, I mean, we're supposed to sorry, pardon my this thing, I'll try to say. Mudiyor sollum nellikayum munne kasakkum pinne inikkum. Mudiyor sollum nellikayum munne kasakkum pinne inikkum. அப்போ இப்போ கிரைசிஸ் அதே மாதிரி தானே, நெல்லிக்காய் மாதிரி தானே. நெல்லிக்காய் சாப்பிட்றோம், நெல்லிக்காய் சாப்பிட்டா கசக்குது, ரைட்? ஆனா கசக்க போறதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் இனிப்பு வருது. ஸோ முதியோர் சொல்லும் நெல்லிக்காயும் முன்னே கசக்கும் பின்னே இனிக்கும். So for those of you who cannot follow Tamil, it's basically the gooseberry, right? So initially when we eat it, we feel it's kind of sour, and then later on it becomes sweet. It's a bit like the crisis right now, right? So is it like, bitter? The crisis at the moment is bitter, but like Nellika, the gooseberry, which becomes sweeter later on. So is that the opportunity which we are going to see later? So this is some of the thoughts I just wanted to share with you. And as you would have heard in many, many sayings, they say, never waste a good crisis. This is a classic saying, political statement, whatever you want to call it. They always say, never waste a good crisis, because the crisis is a time for doing so many things which were not possible earlier, right? I mean, you can put the blame on the crisis. We can, sort of rediscover because of the crisis, but don't waste a crisis, right? It is up to us to grab it. So that's all I have to say about things. So I'm sure going forward, there's going to be a lot of things. We in the UEF are trying to facilitate a lot of things between Singapore and Tamil Nadu. One of them being Changi Airport. We would love it if we can have a Changi type of airport in Chennai. This is just one of the projects which Singapore can do there, and I don't think there can be a better place than Chennai for Changi to come in, considering that all the other major airports have already been taken by the Delhi airport, the Chennai, the Mumbai airport. Hyderabad has already been taken, whereas Chennai is still available. So it's a prime spot, I think, for Singapore and a whole lot of other things. So I'm more than happy to discuss offline with you, as we have been discussing all these years, to see how we take this story actively forward. And UEF and all of us, I'm sure, will, and our friends of UEF, we have got a lot of friends of UEF also, not just members of UEF, but also friends and supporters of UEF, will be more than happy to take the Singapore story forward in Tamil Nadu and India. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Ahmed Bhai, for that. Thank you so much. So, so the floor is all yours now. So we have come to the last segment, really the most important section of this day, where we're going to get the president of UEF to summarize today's event, all the speakers, and of course, what you can take away and apply to your businesses. So over to you, Mr. Ahmed.
Yeah, so thanks very much, Fahim. So I think it's been a very, very engaging and very, very productive session that we've had. We must thank, again, I'll just combine this sort of like a vote of thanks in this message as well. So we must thank Brother Azmat Taufiq and then Jahangir. Thank you, Fahim, and the whole UEF team, everybody for having put this program in very, very short notice. So I just want to combine this sort of like a vote of thanks since we're running short of time. So just a little quick summary of my take. I think the most powerful statement was made by Azmat Bhai. And for him to say that it is a time of personal growth, and how we can become from being weak to becoming stronger. I really do think it is a time for us to, I mean, like what he rightly said, it is a time for us to rediscover ourselves. And this is definitely the time to do it. And of course, he said that the new abnormal is what the situation is, the world is going to be like. Of course, I think one of the things that he said is the amount of changes which are going to take place thanks to Brother Jahangir gave those fantastic 3 points. And of course, Azmat Bhai also mentioned that globalization is here to stay. I also totally agree with him that it's impossible for the world to decouple, as they say, right? So decoupling is not something which is going to happen. India, if at all anything, it has to get connected to the global supply chain. And this is really our opportunity. So whatever China has been doing all these years is now India's time. And if India can plug the technology play into all of this, and Tamil Nadu's strength being technology, right? So this is again the opportunity for us, really the opportunity for us. I think Jahangir was mentioning earlier about how today you can practically have a Harvard University lecture for classrooms in rural Tamil Nadu. And this is something for our educational institutions, right? Why do we have to think that, we're not able to access the teachers or we're not able to access the curriculum or whatever? Now it is all available for us. This is a classroom of 200 plus people with 3 or 4 lecturers. I mean, for lack of a better comparison, 4 lecturers, 200, participants, and this can be any classroom. And we can have the best of lecturers, from best of the universities. So this is what the technology is now telling us. This is what the crisis is telling us, that education as a business is probably going to get disrupted, right? And the gap between the industry and the education will probably shrink, is probably what it means after this COVID situation. So this is definitely something for our educational institutions. And of course, Brother Jahangir made those 3 very pertinent points: accept reality truthfully, what is the best to do, and to stay safe and to stay and to be kind. And it's funny that he has to say the kind word. I'm sure many of you know how difficult it has been for many others. So this is certainly the time for kindness. So then, of course, we had Hanif, who also enlightened us with a lot of his learnings about how he built his business, about the loss that he that he went through after investing so much money. I never knew that he went from 5,000 square feet to 65,000 square feet, and how he the fire actually helped him to reset the entire business. Sort of like what I was mentioning earlier about Lana Ashar, when she said that we have to hit the bottom to rediscover. So I think what Hanif said is that he also had to hit the bottom to rediscover. Again, we are hitting another bottom in this COVID situation, and probably this is a time for us to rediscover. And so this is basically my take. So technology is here to stay. Educational institutions, can really learn a lot from what is going on. Digitization is the way to go. Tamil Nadu is definitely in the forefront with our educational background and whatnot. And of course, all of them have reaffirmed their support for the UEF. And so this is basically my take of these sessions. So back to you, Hanif. Sorry, Fahim.
Thank you so much, Brother Ahmed, Dr. Jahangir, Mr. Azmat, Mr. Hanif. Thank you so much. And all the UEF members, so on and so forth. I wish you all the best from the team at the UEF. All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.